what bank account should I have? What broker should I use? What credit card should I use? So most people say, get this one because I have a promo code that you can use. And I'm going to say, no, that's not going to happen in this video because the best solution for banking, credit cards, and your broker, if you are doing FIRE, does not have any of those such programs. And I'm going to give you two solutions. One is the one size fits all solution, what I think is just the general best one for the laid off approach. And it's the one that I use too. And then I will identify the three best individual ones in every category based on specific needs. So first things first, again, this is going to be a little bit different because most people recommend like, oh, use Robinhood, use Moomoo, use Webull, use whatever because they get like a free commission when you sign up. But the one I'm going to recommend is going to be really, really boring. It's going to be Bank of America. And you might think, wait a minute, that's like the second worst bank. Well, it turns out if you save money, if you invest money, and if you have a little bit of money, banks treat you really well. So all those bad negative reviews of like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, like all those big banks, just really go out the window if you actually have any sort of money at the bank. The reason why is because they want to keep you as a customer. So don't really worry about a bank's reputation on like how many fees they have, because I've had these accounts for like so many years now and I've never actually paid a fee except for this one time when I did, but I just emailed them and told them to take off the fee and they did it instantly. Because again, if you have money at a bank, they treat you really, really well. So you might be wondering, why am I going for this boomer bank instead of literally any of the other solutions out there? Well, first of all, when I'm thinking of doing financial independence retire early, which is generally what this channel is going to be about, we are going to be wanting to optimize our finances along with simplifying them. And having a one-size-fits-all solution makes life a lot easier. My credit cards are from Bank of America. I use Merrill Edge, which is their investing platform. And then I just use their bank for all my banking needs and also for my business banking, even though most of y'all probably don't have businesses. But I use it for all of them because it's really easy to have everything in one platform. It's like kind of using a Mac. If you have a Mac and an iPhone, and the people that have them know exactly what I'm talking about, the usability between all your different devices is just like so streamlined that it's actually worth the premium that you pay for Apple. But let's get into why I think these are the best ones. So first of all, credit cards are something that people look at a lot, and Bank of America has the highest cash back if you're only focused on cash back. And I think people should forget about points, not because credit cards are evil, not because points are evil, but well, actually points are a little bit evil because I like to simplify everything and then not have to think too much about it, because banking, credit cards, and which broker you use are very, very low impact to your overall financial state. Because if you're not saving money correctly, if you're not spending money correctly, if you're not investing money correctly, if you're not trying to make more money correctly, all those four things are what you should be focused on. But a lot of people like to think like, oh, what if I min-max my credit cards? Like, yeah, they'll get you like $1,000 or $2,000 a year tops. But yeah, if you just get like one raise, that like more than makes up for it. If you do one expense reduction over the years, it'll do more than that too. So keep that in mind whenever you're looking at this. And again, I'm not getting any commission from saying Bank of America is good, but they have the best credit card because you get the most rewards from it if you are a certain status, and you get 5.25% cash back on a certain category, but you can choose your category, which is really, really useful. So I personally have 4 of the Bank of America customized cash rewards cards. They have one for like different baseball teams before, but I don't think they do that anymore. But they have the one that we have up there. They have like this breast cancer one, which is pretty much the same card. But what's really cool about this card is that it says you get 3% cash back on a certain category, 2% automatic cash back at grocery stores and wholesale clubs, and 1% cash back. But if you are a member of Bank of America and you have a bit of money in there, you get up to 5.25% on this category, which turns out is a huge, huge category because you could choose something called online shopping, which is the bulk of what people's purchases are. I've used this on my rent before actually, and the credit card fee was like 1%, and then I got 5.25% cash back on their online platform because it was an online payment. And a lot of things fit into this category. Amazon fits into there. All your subscriptions probably fit in there. Literally anything you buy, most of it is going to be through the internet, is going to be covered under that category. Next, since I have 4 different cards, 3 of them are in this category, and I have a 4th one that's in dining because whenever I'm eating out, I like getting 5.25% cash back. And most other cards, the highest ones I believe only give like 5% unless you have one of those like super duper premium credit cards, which you have to pay for. But those generally are not worth it, but it's more not worth it in a big picture way, not so much in an individual way. Because obviously you could spend time min-maxing credit cards, but that's not the best use of your time. If you even spend more than, let's say, 2 hours trying to min-max a credit card, you've already wasted too much time. You might as well just have like worked another shift at like whatever job you have, or just go apply to other jobs using those like couple hours that you spend on optimizing your credit cards. But I know a lot of people, they get those points credit cards and they're like, oh, I actually get 3 points back, and these points are actually worth like 1.65 cents, whatever they're saying nowadays. But then what ends up happening is that when they go book a flight, they end up spending like 4 hours trying to like look for the best point conversions on whatever cards they have. And that's just not a good use of your time. Meanwhile, I'm getting cash back. I'm investing all that cash that I stored up, and using time value of money, my 5.25% actually ends up even being more than that by the time I spend it compared to had I gone for points. So that's why for credit cards, you got to go with the Bank of America one. There is one caveat, and that is it only works on the first $2,500 in combined purchases each quarter in each category. So what that means is in the first 3 months of a year, or every 3 months, you can only get cash back up to $2,500 of spending. And obviously that doesn't add up to be a lot, because I'll add up to be around $10,000. And some people might spend more than $10,000 a year using their credit card, but that's why you have 4 of those cards or 3 of those cards, whatever it may be. And then unless you're spending more than like 40K a year, which you probably shouldn't be doing if you're trying to do fire on like only credit card purchases, because keep in mind, even though my housing stuff was able to be paid for with a credit card, most people's are not. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing this. And also like each platform is kind of categorized in a different way. So you kind of have to play around with it sometimes until you find which categories up here actually fit whatever you're buying. Most of the time I just default to online shopping, cable, internet, phone plans, and streaming. Your mileage may vary, but whenever I buy this with my credit card using the online shopping category, it's already covered. So I don't even know why these other categories exist. But in terms of a cashback card with no fee, this is going to be the best one. Another caveat is that you need to get $100,000 into your bank account, and that is using the 3-month combined average daily balance. That might seem difficult, but it's easier than it is, because I'll explain in just a moment. But before you get there, you have the gold tier and the platinum tier at 20K and 50K. And at gold tier, I believe you get like 3.75% back. At platinum tier, you get, I think, 4.5. But to get into the honors tier, you need 100K. And most banks, most of the boomer banks at least, you need your money in a checking or savings account in order to get these bonuses. But at Bank of America, you don't. You could just put it in their investing platform, and then you don't have to have cash sitting idle in the sidelines. So all you have to do is just put all your money into their investment account, which is Merrill Edge. And through that, you are able to qualify for this bonus. So it's really, really helpful, and you get like pretty much no fees on everything. And then you don't have cash wasted sitting around not collecting that much interest. So the only bad thing about this card is that if you do travel, it does have foreign transaction fees. But if you just get like a 5th card that's just works for foreign transactions, then you're covered there, and just get any card at that point, right? But like 99% of the stuff you could do in this Bank of America account. So next thing up we have is their investing platform. I could sum this up and just say, trust me, bro, when I say never use any of the newer brokers, because they mainly just suck. I could explain why. Like 99% of them, they like sell your trades for money, and they like give you really bad executions. And execution does mean something, because even though they advertise their trades as like free trading nowadays, most of the companies out there, they just sell your orders to other companies, and then they get a bunch of money for it, and they give you pretty crap fills. So whenever you notice you buy a stock and you see a bid ask of like $1 and like $1.05, for example, and then you see you bought the stock at like $1.10 or something like that. That's because like your execution is bad. And that's just like a made up scenario, but like, look at some of your purchases, like go buy a stock on whatever account you have right now and see what the execution price is versus what the actual price is whenever you buy it, because it's always worse. But with boomer brokers such as Merrill Edge, Fidelity, things like that, they have much better execution, I've found. And the reason why they have better execution prices is because they don't sell your trades. Another good one for more advanced people is going to be Interactive Brokers. I don't personally use them, but I've heard very good things about them. The one I just use Merrill Edge. And then I do have a Fidelity account, but that's just because all my retirement accounts are there from my previous job. So I'm too lazy to switch it over, and it doesn't really matter. But oftentimes, whenever you do use one of the newer brokers, so like the millennial brokers such as Robinhood, the Zoomer brokers such as Webull, there are a lot of things that you cannot do in them that you can do in all the boomer platforms. And you don't realize it until you actually hit those scenarios. So one scenario for me on Robinhood, for example, I used to use Robinhood, was you couldn't choose which tax lots you could sell off in the app. So whenever you're doing tax loss harvesting, things got really tricky. Whenever you are doing tax gain harvesting, things got really tricky. It's just not a good system. Another thing I do is donations. You cannot donate with a lot of these new brokers. So if you do donate stocks, which I have done in the past, only actual brokers allow you to do this that I've found. Of course, most of those things might not apply to you, but payment for order flow applies to almost everyone, and not many brokers don't sell your trades. And like, apparently, Merrill Edge does not. I think Fidelity doesn't either. But even if they did, whenever I buy stuff on them and I look at the prices that they actually execute at, they're always really good. So that's just been my experience so far, and that's why I really like having my money at those companies. But pretty much all the new ones out there that I see people on YouTube shilling, they all have payment for order flow. So it just means that your trades are being sold to like different high frequency traders, and they're just like making money off your money. So it's like, if you are okay with that, keep using them. But if you want to actually use a real broker and real bank, then you could like join me in the Bank of America crew. You know, like, again, I'm making no money from this. I don't even own Bank of America stock, but Jesus Christ, like, yeah. And that brings us to my last point, which is, what's the best solution to tie everything together? Well, if you use all one system, all your money transfers like pretty much instantly. So if I want to move money, I can move money from like all my different accounts, and it happens in almost real time. And if had I used one broker and then a different bank, I can't actually transfer the money right away. So let's say I had a Webull account and there's some hot news about some certain stock, and I have some money sitting around in my bank account. If I transfer my money over to that account, it's going to take like a couple of business days to do so. And in that time, I might potentially be missing out on gains. This has actually affected me in the past. And because I had like a delay, it prevented me from doing it, and I like lost an opportunity. So that kind of sucked, and that just wouldn't have happened. And that's just too much time for me, because I would wanted to do it instantly and then started trading with it right away. And Merrill Edge allows you to do that because they just happen to be part of Bank of America. So you might be asking about the final thing, which is, what about the actual bank account, like the checking or savings account? My answer to that is, I don't have a savings account because I don't want my money sitting collecting like 0.0001% interest or whatever, because it's pretty much useless. So I just don't have a savings account. I just put all my money in my investing account because I don't believe in emergency funds. If you value time value of money, which if you're not stupid, you would value it, right? You just invest all the excess cash you have. So I put everything in my investment account. So I barely use my checking account, which I do have. And my checking account balance is pretty much almost zero, as much as I can. I used to be very anal about it, but now I'm not, because I don't really care that much anymore. But I just leave all my money in there so that I can cover all my credit card payments in my checking account. And that's pretty much it. That's like the all-encompassing solution that I've used that gives the highest credit card rewards without paying any credit card fees, instant transfer of money, and having like an actual broker that could actually do regular stuff that most people don't really think about. It's just the best solution for me. And in case you all are wondering about the credit card thing, because I know I'm going to get a lot of contention on that, I've churned credit cards before, and I've used all like the min-maxing of points because like I was a consultant, so I had a lot of airline and hotel points. So learning about credit card points was like pretty easy for me. And it's just not worth the effort. I don't care who you are. Like no rich person is ever min-maxing the points. Like I guarantee you that. So if you're going to go in the comments and say like, no, I actually made like a ton of money on the credit card, like great. But like you have to admit it's just not optimal because you spend so much time doing it. And unless you're like nothing better to do in life and like you're stuck at your workplace in the office, not work from home, and you have time, you have access to a computer to like figure out how to min-max your points, go ahead, do it. That's what I did before. But like, I probably should have just been building a business instead, you know, or like maybe working harder at work and trying to get a promotion. That leads to more money, you know, because that's the goal at the end of the day, is to get more money in our pockets with the least amount of effort over our lifetime. And Credit cards are just not the way to do it. So there are also studies out there that say stuff like, oh, like the reason why they have all these rewards is that so you're more engaged with the credit card and then therefore you spend more money like without even knowing it. And I'm not even getting into those reasons. I'm literally just getting into the reasons of, is it worth your time? Probably not. So let's get into the individual categories then, because I think there are some standouts if you don't want to use Bank of America as your like all-in-one solution. I'm going to start with the broker account because a lot of people think it's really important to choose like a specific broker. First of all, it's not. Even if you like have a crappy broker, it's not going to change your like investment timeline or whatever. But if you want to optimize, like use Fidelity, because Fidelity is like slightly better than Merrill Edge. I've compared the two like a bunch and I've read all the different stuff on it. They're pretty much the same. The only difference is that with Fidelity, you get some money when people borrow your stocks to short, and Bank of America, they keep all that money. So with Fidelity, they give you like a small bit of that share. And that's the only thing that I've seen it being better. So that's like one thing to keep in mind. So if I had to choose like the perfect broker or like the best broker right now, probably Fidelity, but it's not really that big of a deal. For a bank account, I don't really think it matters, but probably using a local credit union wherever you are is going to be the best because they give the best interest rates on like your particular accounts. But I don't use a savings account and my checkings account is pretty much as low as it can get all the time. So I don't really worry about that. It's literally arguing over like pennies, dollars at the most, you know? I guess you could use like people like Ally Savings Bank or whatever. I've never used them. And again, we're literally arguing pennies, and probably your local credit union probably offers an even better rate. And then lastly, we have credit cards. So I have like 20, 25 credit cards in like my lifetime because I used to churn them, right? But literally, I think the best cashback card is the Bank of America one, if you have the requirements for it. So I don't really think there are that many different things. But if you only want like one credit card for like everything, maybe the Citi double cashback one is pretty good. You just get 2% back on every purchase and you don't have to think about any of the categories, which makes the whole like simplification process really nice. That could be a good like only one card type of thing. If you're trying really hard, you could look at every single credit card in existence and then list out all your spending in each category and then figure out which ones work the best for each of them. I kind of did that before, but like, again, not worth it. I probably made at most like a couple $100s from doing that. And then lastly, I think the only card that's a little better than the Citi double cashback card is the Fidelity card. And the reason why is because it also gives 2% cash back, but it also doesn't have any foreign transaction fees from what I've been reading. I don't have the card personally, but that's what I've been reading on it. So it seems like a slightly better version of the Citi one. The only bad thing or the only downside is that the money goes into your Fidelity account. But if you're saving a bunch of money anyways, most likely you're not relying on your cash back rewards to like make like a rent payment or like a utilities payment, for example. So it's nice to keep in there because overall like the money is the same, but you don't have to get a separate card for foreign transactions. So that could be pretty good. But yeah, obviously there are a billion credit cards out there, and maybe some people want to use the Amex Platinum for some reason. I used that card for like 5 years maybe, and it was a pretty decent card, but like the way I used it was I literally took 2 flights a week. So I was at the airport so often, probably like 40 weeks a year. So when I have 80 different lounge visits, the card pays for itself based on that reward alone, not including all the other rewards. But if you don't have like a crazy situation like that, all those premium cards are like probably not worth it because again, they get you into this ecosystem. You try to like think more about the points, and then like the more time you devote to this garbage, the worse it is because again, the basics are just saving money, making more money, investing the money, and everything else is just like spend less time on it. Focus on those 3 things. But a lot of people wonder what the best banks, brokers, whatever are, and those are my picks right now. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and let me know if you have like a all-encompassing solution that's a little better, a little worse, whatever it is. Same with all the individual picks because there definitely is going to be some contention there. But again, it's like the second worst bank, but by reputation, but it's worked fantastic for me, and yeah, cannot complain there. But if you want to learn a little bit more about investing, check out this video I did over here about where to start because that's going to be much more impactful for pretty much everything you do. So hope to see you all there.